thought about the people that we pray for, that to feel that. Thank you for bringing that to our hearts. Good morning. Happy. The season has begun. We start nonstop eating from now until January 1st. So I wanted, before I launch into our sharing today, I wanted to honor something that Reverend Barbara Leger is doing, and she continues to bring her heart forward for the campfire. And so on the back table next to Diana Wolfstead, you'll find her flyer, and it says peace first, and all else follows accordingly. And she briefly talks about her peace first practice with this that she shared with us a few weeks ago. It's very beautiful, but also something that she's doing with a few of her friends to help provide for some families. So if that is something on this side of it, this is what a flyer looks like, because there's a lot back there still, but please take one of those and be a part of her champion the healing that continues to happen in the North State for all that we've been through. So we're talking today about transference, and I brought the actual, just to, kind of do this real mind game thing with you, the Wikipedia idea about what transference is, in case you weren't quite sure what that term means and why we're talking about it from a spiritual platform. But it is, and so catch it, because I'm going to do a quiz later, see if you can. Is a theoretical phenomena characterized by an unconscious redirection of the feelings a person has about a second person to the feelings of the first person has about a third person, okay? It usually concerns feelings from an important second-person relationship from childhood and is sometimes considered inappropriate. So it was first described by a good old Sigmund Freud. So that definition is a little bit dense, but that's a definition that I was familiar with from medical training and how we were trained. Also, the term came up in our practitioner and ministerial training because we sit with people and we were advised of watch out for transference. And so I kept thinking, well, how can I talk about it? It doesn't seem like a very happy talk. But then when I was reading Ernest Holmes' words on this as a spiritual principle, it just lit me up. So I find this wisdom a very deep treasure, and I'm anxious to have you hear what your ears can hear and your heart open to take a new understanding, and in that, set yourself free. Set yourself free of something that perhaps you've been carrying with you for a very long time. So Thanksgiving often brings up many traditions, right? We end up having maybe the same kind of meal, or grandma's favorite cranberry sauce, or different things occur that are familiar with us. Charlie and I this year, though, went to my daughter's, to her in-laws. And so we were without our usual comfort zone, but delightful family in every way. But I had to get a kick out of this because Charlie sometimes whispers over to me as if nobody else can hear in that moment, like those bubbles of thought that have the little connection. He's speaking into that, and we're in our own world, and nobody else at the table can hear him or me. So we're waiting for this meal to start, everything table set, and then before the cooks are sitting down, people are starting to serve and eat, and he's going, what are they doing? I don't know. Like, you can talk out of the side of your mouth, and I said, and so I started passing dishes, and he goes, we should wait. I said, I know we should, but we aren't. I'm following the lead. And so we're doing this whole little back and forth to each other. It's sort of silly, and it's all okay, but it's just when you put yourself in someone else's Thanksgiving, it's just different. And So we didn't have anything to do transference with. And so there was the conversation started, and in my house, I'm known, and a lot of people, when they invite me over for dinner, they're thinking, oh God, it's going to be workshop Sue, because I'll bring like cards, or I'll hide things somewhere, and I say, okay, what does your little message say, and how does that relate to your life? And so it's like, I'm a challenge to have to come over for dinner. And so my kids know it's like, oh, Thanksgiving at Mom's, they always has this, but they'll get it at Christmas. So we didn't have that, and I had to keep biting my tongue not to say, so what are you grateful for, to the table, to kind of own it. So it's just a delightful experience, but it really, as I was thinking about this talk, where do I put transference? Where does it fit here? And so I'm going to share a couple of thoughts with you to get you on the same page of where my mind was, because this is some of the principles. What Damien read to you was a prayer that helps you to, without going through years of therapy, just sitting with that prayer of blessing all that has been, truly blessing your mother, your father, your sister, your friends, and then just putting it down. So earlier at the 9 o'clock, I talked about transference and where we put our blame, but I'd like to focus this time on letting go of what is between you and your divine. What is between you and God, or you and Spirit? What do you name that which you are coming here for to discover? You know, you arrive in a spiritual center to have a deeper understanding, to grasp a greater truth, and to live a more quality life in that knowing, to make that shift, to have that aha. And so oftentimes with the classic idea of transference, we kind of hold something before a deeper truth. Hold a pattern of way of being, transferring it onto that. It could be a teaching that we transfer onto. I recognized in this, since I had the understanding of what a guru was, I spent the rest of my life looking for one. Is that my guru? Is this teaching my guru? Is this my teacher? Is that my teacher? And always feeling a little bit guilty, like going out on my first guru because I like this one, you know? And it's like, is that right? You know? And so I would feel a little bit, I even got a little shame with that, and I would kind of kick it around. And so I invite you, you know, what are you putting before your God? And so Ernest Holmes says this quote here: there are people who depend upon certain books, perhaps even the Bible, for their happiness, without in any way discrediting the value of these books or the supreme value of the great Bibles of all the world, the great teachings of all that we have, all the teachers who have brought us the highest and the best that the world knows. Even these transferences must be broken if we are to become whole, for nothing should stand between us and the divine and the universe. Nothing. And so there's this realizing the power of that one quote, to realize putting it all down creates such a spaciousness of heart. Can you feel it in you? If you looked at what you have been carrying and living by, and just really honing in on, but put even that down, not letting it go completely, like discarding it, but just put it down. And then what's there? And what's there is what all the spiritual paths point to, is the spot of grace, this divine spot of grace. He goes on to say, breaking the transference does not mean isolation from life. Quite the opposite. It means being whole in life, that we may discover the love and the friendship of all people without seeking to destroy them or permitting them to destroy us. So we let go of all of our wounds. Transference takes you back on a journey, back into the initial moment when you had a response, an emotional response to something that really kind of walled your heart off a little bit. And then anybody from that moment on that reminds you of that person, boy, are they going to get it. or not get your heart. You're going to protect yourself, so you're not whole. You're not inviting this sense of pure openness to be with that person. So there's a letting go of what is between you and God. And Anthony DeMello has this word of Transference. He speaks to it that the master had an allergy for people who protracted their stay at the monastery. Sooner or later, each disciple would have to hear these difficult words: "The time has come for you to go. If you do not get away, the Spirit will not come." What was this Spirit? One particular smitten disciple wished to know, and said the Master, "Water remains alive and free by flowing. You will remain alive and free by going. If you do not get away from me, you will stagnate and die and be contaminated." Wow. And I thought, ooh, he's not my guru. But you look at the words is really pointing to this very thing. Put it down. Put down yes, maybe a horrific thing has happened to you. And I don't make that small. But can we put it down? Because it happened a long, long time ago, and it's not now. And if you can really put it down, your heart, you open to that spaciousness. I studied a little bit of Emily Cady, and she is a teacher of unity, and she speaks this in Lessons of Truth. Every man must take time daily for quiet and meditation. So here we are. What am I inviting you to again? Spiritual practice. Oh, that. Spiritual practice. You should hunger for it. Long for just that still moment where you connect perfectly with the divine. It's a moment of stillness. It's a moment where God speaks through you, to you, as you. You're no longer asking, begging, shaming anything inside yourself. You sit in the practice. The reminder, could we do this music if we didn't practice? We have to practice in order to get in tune with something greater and to be in harmony with the wholeness. It takes practice. So spiritual practice is why we have this center. It's why we invite you to sit with the prayer practitioners to help you instill this deep, powerful truth. It's why we offer the art classes and the yoga and the Tai Chi and the meditation pavilion. It's why Reverend Pam offers you meditation faithfully, she and Maggie, every Thursday. It's why. It's because we need to separate ourselves and learn to be in the stillness, to be in the practice. So she goes on to say, every man must take the time for quiet and meditation. And in this daily meditation lies the secret of power. No one can grow in either spiritual knowledge or power without it. Practicing the presence of God just as if you would practice the music. Daily meditation alone with God focuses the divine presence within us and brings it to our consciousness. We get too busy doing. We're thinking about helping others, all good things. All good ways is to serve in the world, but it is first asking us, the invitation is, can you learn to be before you do? And we're so eager to be the helping hand out there. But the invitation here is doing needs to be secondary to the being. Emily goes on to say, when you are consciously the truth, it will radiate from you and accomplish the works without ever feeling put upon. Let your meditations then center you in this truth. We're not centering, of course, when we sit down, sometimes we're in the worry zone. That too shall pass. Stay still. Sometimes we're in the memories of what has been. Sometimes what comes up is some of the most deeply haunting things that ever happened to us. Let it come, let it go. It's that Tonglen practice. Let it move right on through you. Let it have no place to stick to you. Allow yourself to be a pure vehicle, to allow this sense of meditation and stillness and practice, to be a conduit of this truth and this grace, so that that is what is expressed out through you as you. So it allows us to radiate this, and we begin to accomplish greater things. We center in a truth, and we don't think of ourselves as the failure. How freeing is that? To not worry about not feeling good enough or worthy, to get to let that go. Finally, let that go. It will stir, you again. I have chosen to bless you and thank you for what has awakened in me now. I release you and bless you. We don't think, we allow ourselves not even to withdraw into the restless mind, but go into the restfulness that awaits you, the restfulness of stillness. And this can happen by just a simple thought of the divine. That's how easy it is. Love. You can use the practice of the transference to remind yourself of something, someone, some moment where you felt the door of your heart just wide open, that you put everything down and there you are, and you're invoking the living divine spirit within you right then, and you stand unwavering. She invites us to stand unwavering before any false accusations of the mind. Stand unwavering to that part where the mind says, oh, look at you. You think you're some big yogi. You can't even cross your legs. You can't hardly even walk up on stage without your knees creaking. You know, I don't listen to that. I got to get that past me. I got work to do to be still and to know. So you don't listen to those words. You stand unwaveringly. Think about how powerful that word is. You say nothing. You just know the truth of being, and you remain unbothered. Remain unbothered by the human mind trying to influence you. Oh, okay. That easy? No. Oh, the human mind's going, wait, whoa, wait. I've been educated. I have things to say. I have opinions. I have judgments. Oh, this mind, don't you try to get away from me. Beneath that, when you can put that down, when you can transcend that, and you go to the glory, you go to that place, you go to the place of grace inside of you. There you sit, and you sit long enough until it's there immediately when you take your seat. Now, Pema Chodron was one of the writings that we were invited to look at the places that scare us, and to look at the areas that we find we need refuge from. And she's got great wisdom in her Buddhist background, and she refers to asking us, now with this mind and the thoughts being like arrows, where are you aiming your arrows? And I thought, where am I aiming the arrow of my mind? And one of the Buddhist principles is to change all those arrows into flowers, to take it and to transform it into a flower, into love, into good. And that's a great idea. But she goes just a little bit further, and she says, take away the target. Yeah, take away the target. So when you're trying to allow your arrow to pierce the heart of your suffering, take the target away. And the arrow just aimlessly falls on nothingness, and you're set free. I think it's such a beautiful analogy, turning your arrows into flowers as the Buddha did. And how do you practice to staying open and present to what's going on versus reacting and falling into the victim? So we start to do that by living the life of spirit instead of living the life of the old self. That's refreshing in its own, if you could really just hear that. Am I living my old self? What a stink, Or am I allowing myself to be fresh and renewed as I cleansed myself this day, to offer myself to all of you and you to me? Here we are, a body of people, making that decision right now to cease to look at everything that's happened before this moment as something that we need to drag around. So, living this life of spirit instead of living the life of the old self. We're invited to find that refuge in the inner silence of your own being, freed from trying to have that need to take apart everything and have this, whatever is outwardly demonstrating and wanting just instant relief from any of the conditions. Take a pause, take a breath, have a deeper understanding, but then put it down. Cease looking away to others to try to find a truth about yourself. Friends can certainly help you. Spiritual teachers, spiritual scripture readings can all help us. But if we're so bound to our attachment to that we can't hear our own divine call, we're missing the moment of transcending. So don't set up any targets for your arrows this week. That was Pima's first counsel. If we don't set up the target, it can't be hit by the arrows of our words of action or anger. If we set up targets with our minds, we're only the ones that have to take it back down again. We stay centered, we don't speak, we're still, we tame our reactions. See, the spiritual practice here is taming that mind and connecting it to the gateway of the heart, so we streamline and we allow breath to just move through you. That's what that Tonglen practice is. That breath is moving through you and transforming all that has been, and you're set free. You're dissolving patterns of reaction, and you're dissolving depressive thinking just by being. I want to be still long enough to transform. So we stay centered in our heart. We stay centered in our heart in such a way that we are deeply connected. So you can see yourself actually visually shielded by this heart space, surrounded by this light. And we want to stay in that heart no matter what. We're not going to give any food to the demons of distraction. We're going to sit still even when we feel the rage of anger. We're not going to point it at anyone. It's just like anger. Anger. I have anger. I'm breathing with this anger, and then it starts to dissipate. It will. We want to be compassionate for ourselves and the other, because everything is the story. That could be me. That could be me. That could be me. When I was watching some of the people, the homeless people in our town, when the rain started and they're carrying their blankets and they're just drenched, I thought, that could be me. That breaks my heart. That could be me. And so we stay open and willing to look them right in the eye with love, with some respect. We can do that. We can keep our heart open. That could be me. And where do we place our blame is the other practice. And begin to really allow ourselves to watch that, where we put that. So we start sending love with everything that's teaching us and guiding us, we send love. And we start to recognize whatever has taken a form from our past that's caused us suffering today, we dissolve it into a formlessness. We really can do that. That's the power of this beautiful mind we have. So you want to look inside and be informed to see what you're thinking in order to create this change. And looking at from that perspective, seeing the scene from a different position, and you're always the main character on the stage. You always are the one that has the power to reshape the outcome. You really are. How are you showing up? Do you know your part? Spiritual practice. You'll know your lines. So, this is my challenge. So, this too shall pass. Swami Satchidananda was one of my many gurus, and he reminds us to stay away from anything that will disturb you. Yoga practices are designed to deal with the mind, and it is the mind creating all your troubles. So we begin to train it and use it for our higher advantage. That's why we have this beautiful mind. That's how we find peace. Don't keep talking about it, but begin living it and just doing it. There was a Zen teacher says, there is one thing in life that you can always rely on: life being as it is. Life is always going to be the way it is. Trust in things being as they are is the secret of life. Radical acceptance. And then you find yourself suddenly without preferences. How freeing is that? Can you just imagine yourself without the preference? So this blessing upon us to remind us, this is the same old teaching, the same teaching that was in all scriptures. It's the old wine in the new skins, as they say. But we start to look at this. May God, who is the truth, the peace, the joy, who is all the virtue within us and everywhere, bless us with an understanding to come together and live together and make this world a beautiful heaven. May you all experience perfect health, peace, prosperity, and bliss. That's a blessing from Swami Satchidananda. So this transference is an amazing process, casting light as it does on some of our hidden thoughts. So it's okay. You're in your practice. Look at those, your thoughts, your feelings, your motivations, your wishes, and then remain untroubled. This is recognizing and finding the brilliant practice to soothe the ways that have caused you to be disturbed in the first place. So to further, as I start to close, if you want to come and be ready here, there's this passage from another one from Anthony de Mello. A guru had promised a scholar a revelation of great consequence, more than anything ever contained in the scriptures. It's almost like what I'm offering today, this opportunity, a great revelation. And when the scholar eagerly asked for it, the guru said, "Go out into the rain and raise your head and arms heavenward, and that will bring your first revelation." So the next day the scholar came to report, "I followed your advice, and water flowed down my neck, and I felt like a perfect fool," because he'd gone out into the rain and just held up his arms. And then he said, "Well, for the first day, that's quite a revelation, isn't it?" I felt like a perfect fool. And you might. So what? How free do you want to be? So I'm going to lead into a meditation of Mark Nepos to have you have the experience here as in his work, the Book of Awakening. Thank you, Judy. Unlearning our way is back to God. That's what he titles this. And reminding that each one of us is born with this divine knowing, this divine space within us. And regardless of your life experience, the only truly worthy teaching is to uncover this original center and how to live there once it is restored. I breathe with you, breathe with me. As you close your eyes and anchor your body in a practice, in a body that is set up to sit tall, and to allow divine flow to move through you. Feel that as you breathe, and allow the breath to come from your heart. As you connect with the wave and the flow of every breath, divinely designed to breathe in you, through you, you transform all that has come before. And you sit with what is. This is you breathing. We're looking at the film that has deadened this space, and we wash it clean through the power of the authentic breath, breathing through the heart space. And we take a bigger breath and we feel love being invoked. And we call upon this love, and if the love feels small, we call upon someone, some moment, some incident in time where our heart burst forth from our chest, and we felt this divine love pour out. So hard to contain this divine love. That's what we breathe. And we wash away the film, and we go deeper. Beneath all the trouble, we dive deep like the diver to the depths of stillness. And there waiting is this still moment. Still breathing, still diving deeper. We bless the mind, we bless the way, we bless our teachers, we bless our scriptures. But we put them down because we cannot carry them as we dive even deeper. We must merge with the water alone and be filled with the spirit of water alone. There we are, swimming freely. Think now of all that you love, all that has allowed you to be the creative avenue. All of this. Think about the many animals you have pet upon their heads and allowed them refuge in your home. Think about the children. Think about your parents, your friends. All the love of the beauty of our planet, the beauty of our oceans. And this space, this field of agape love is growing even larger. There we are, tapped in and so divinely connected, a conduit of that. We are alive in that. I am that I am, and I weep with such truth. I am that I am. We are that. We've arrived. We're free. We have transcended. We needed nothing but stillness and love. And we breathe that as one. Brothers and sisters, we are one. So we leave our blessing here. Stay there. As I said in the earlier service, no applauding, because this is your space. We hunger for it. Let us remain heart to heart, breath by breath, in the arms of the divine, where grace always leads us home. So be it, and so it is. Be very still. Be very still.